Hi and welcome to my PlayHouse, and today we're gonna be looking at some flash storage for my Lenovo X3650 Model 4, which is right there. This is kind of a thing that I bought from money that I have gotten from my Patreon supporters, so I will be talking a little bit about that and how that has been helping me out. But let's go to my table over here at the keyboard and see what I got. So a couple of weeks ago I made this video about some equipment that I got from GearBest, and I just got a comment today because, well, these videos are a couple of weeks delayed, so I got a comment today about that. Well, a dude that he did not like this video very much. He he was correct. This is not really server graded hardware, and it's a very big risk to put it in a server, and you should never use this for production servers. And I do kind of agree with him. King Dian is not really a brand that we know for anything. It might be a very big Chinese company that we just never heard of in the West, but I doubt it. I just checked out their homepage and it didn't look like it was a big company. It looked like it was a smaller company that had got their hands on some gotten into making these smaller M2 flash drives. I do not know if this King Dian brand is something that is just remarketed. This might be a good brand, but with a Chinese sticker on it, I have no idea. So, but I didn't pick this from GearBest just to show it once. I actually picked it because this was something that I thought that I could use in my setup, and I actually want my server to boot on this solid state M.2 NGFF drive, and I want it to work together with this Samsung NVMe SSD 960 EVO M.2 that I just spent a fortune on from money from my Patreon subscribers. Thank you very much. If you don't know it, I have a Patreon page where you for $1 a month can support what I do here. For $3 a month you get a weekly video, which a lot of people does. I will be making a video on what I've been doing this weekend right when I'm done filming this one, so that my Patreon supporters a couple of weeks ahead will know that this video is coming. Today we're gonna be trying to put that one in and this one in. This should be a really awesome drive. It is the Evo, it's not the Pro. The Pro is better for server equipment. The Evo is like the desktop version, the gamer version, almost as fast as the Pro, but the Pro will last longer. How many times can you rewrite the data on these before they get bad and you can't really call them bad blocks anymore, but it's about the same. The chips will wear out, and the Pro, well, it lasts a lot longer, but this one is better priced. So I am looking forward to getting a Pro, and I do hope that we can someday make a comparisons about the two. So, well, I'm gonna open this. I haven't had this opened at all, so let's just do a bit of an unboxing here as well. I should have gotten something to cut that with. Oh, I have a little bit of nails, so that helps. For a good brand NVMe SSD, the packaging is not good branded. It feels, well, the picture and things on here looks very professional, but it's not as good as the one that I got from TomTop. That was a 120 gigabyte NGFF SSD. The packaging here is much nicer, but off subject. We have a Samsung thing here. Awesome. Oh, that's just to keep that in place. That's a nice piece of work. And we have the drive here. I don't know if this is static, electric, something to worry about, but I think we will just put on the anti-static wristband before we mess with this one. This was a $300 thing, 2,000 Danish kroners. This one was a $93 drive. but this is also twice as big and way faster. So, well, that's how it looks. It looks rather similar to this one. The holes are different here. There is nothing on the back of it. Yeah, okay, there's kind of a heat shield here to dissipate some of the heat. It's smaller, it's not as thick as the other one, but the sizes are the same. And this is the size is the 2280. That's how long these are, and you can kind of see that on the PCIe board here. Up here are the 2230, the 2242, the 2260, and the 2280. So both of these are gonna go in the 2280. This little cheap, very cheap PCI Express card that has almost nothing on it. It was like $6. So this is not the expensive part at all. The expensive part are the SSDs or the M.2. So let's try and mount this and put it in my server. So the top one, which is the NGFF SSD, that's uses the SATA connector and works more or less like a normal SSD, just with a different interface. So we're gonna pop that in. We have done this in the previous video. I had it out to compare the sizes in the video where I showed the portable top SSD. So let's and the screwdriver is also from the top video. So 2,000 Danish kroners. It's bloody expensive. So this goes in here, I hope. Yeah, it goes. And it goes down. So this $6.32 PCI board is now occupied by a $93 NGFF and a $300 Samsung 960 NVMe SSD. Combined, that is about $400 for this little card. We're gonna try and put that in my server. Just looking through the manual, see if there is anything really important here. It's just some legal disclaimer. And here is, yeah, they call the ones with two open slots here, that's the SATA M.2 SSD, and with one slot it's an NVMe M2 SSD. And the NVMe.2 SSD is usually 4 to 6 times faster than the SATA M2 SSD. Yeah, nothing interesting. So I'm just gonna shut down my VMware server here. I have shut down all the virtual machines on it. Actually there was just one, so it wasn't a big deal. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. And well, it's actually been a while since we have had this Lenovo X3650 Model 4 apart. So let's just talk about what we have here. This is my main rendering server. The last 50 videos I think has been rendered out and uploaded from this machine, from a virtual machine on this host. And to do that I've been using this graphics card for the GPU rendering on what is now called Vegas Movie Maker. It's still version 13, but this graphics card is doing that really well. It's really good at GPU accelerating my video rendering, but it's very unstable in VMware. If I don't dedicate the CPUs to the virtual machine and I boot the virtual machine, it will just crash the entire host, which is kind of a bad issue. It's not a good idea to boot one virtual machine and it just purple screens of death the entire machine. As I dedicate the CPUs to the virtual machine that is running this, it's okay. I'm only dedicating 4 CPUs to it, and that works just well with the graphics card. So, and the graphics card GPU rendering is so powerful that it does the same work with just 4 cores as all the 32 threads combined in this server. So with the graphics card, I can cut it down to 4 dedicated cores. But to mount this, we have to go beneath this card. Take that out. Place it out of the way. As we have this card, it needs a SATA connector, and in this server I am not able to use these SAS ports. It's possible to use these connections that uses the onboard SAS controller and get 4 SATA connections out of each of these, but as I'm using those in the front of the server, it's not gonna be an option here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna steal the CD-ROM drive again. I do not use CD-ROM often. I don't know if you use your CD-ROM often, but I really don't. So I am gonna disconnect the CD-ROM in the server, and I'm gonna plug in the SATA connector to that. There, it's plugged in. So now I have to decide if I want it over here, like that, or over here beneath the graphics card, because the graphics card has to be on top. Hard choice. Well, it seems that if I place it here under the graphics card, we're not gonna be able to see it. So I think for video purposes, I'll place it over here, and I'll get a riser card and stuff it in over there. So let's put this back now that the cable is in, and I'll just chuck that CD-ROM cable out of the way, let that red one through. So here is the riser card for the spot over here. This is a riser card for a GPU, which I'm not sure if I'm gonna put a GPU in over there, but well, it's a riser card for that. And we're not going to be using the GPU slot because that's just wasteful. So we'll trade it in, put it at the bottom here. When there is a GPU in the system, the GPU is usually able to use 2 slots. So this card does not have one up here. It has one down there. And this is a lower PCI Express 3x16. That's just a connector. It's really only a 8, 4 or 1, and it's able to supply 25 watts. So we're gonna mount that there, and this connector is an X4. And we have mounted that. We have to get rid of this. It's just a filler, and put this in as gently as possible. There. Okay, much better for video purposes. Right now I'm booting the server on this USB stick down here, so I'm gonna remove that. It has a locking mechanism there, so it's not gonna be booting on that anymore. It's gonna be booting on the M.2 SSD here, the King's DN thing, and then I'll be very interested in how it sees this NVMe drive over here. So that's gonna be exciting. If this just doesn't work at all, I think I'll just leave the USB stick in here so that I don't lose it. That's a nice place for it. Well, actually the CD-ROM has to be dead. It's not powered on, but let's power it on. It will still be dead. I disconnected power and everything. It's probably not gonna be able to boot right away. I probably have to go into the BIOS and set the boot order for it to find anything to boot on. Well, it might actually. The CD-ROM might be one of the boot solutions. So let's see what it comes up with. In my previous video where I showed this King Dian SSD, I did install VMware on it, so if it starts booting from the CD-ROM, it should actually pick up that newer version of VMware. I did download the very newest one. It did not pick up the bootloader, so, well, oh, I have to take that back in. It did, and it's booting ESXi now. Awesome. Okay, it booted, newer version than I had on here before, so awesome. I have to set up the IP numbers down here, and from there we can go and see if it sees the drives. Well, of course it sees the boot drive. I really want to see if it sees the NVMe drive, the Samsung NVMe. Okay, here we are. I popped in the IP number that I just configured out there, and let's see if we can't log in. It has lost everything, all the license keys and stuff that I might have punched in there in the other one, but it does look like we have the server here, and it does look like we have my RAID 1 right there. That's 2 solid state drives that are in the server, that is in a RAID 1. Actually, that's where my rendering server is on, so I want to get on there. So we'll browse the Datastore, and here is my editing server there, and we want to import that register VM there. We should get that, I hope. Did it get it? Okay, close. Anything? Yeah, that's a virtual machine now, so there it is. We're just gonna check that out, make sure that it's good. If the CPUs are, we need to edit. Make sure the CPUs are dedicated, otherwise this host will just crash and burn. Yeah, I have dedicated down here. I have dedicated CPUs for 4 to 7. So 4, 5, 6, and 7 for CPUs, and that does that the server does not purple screens of death when I, most likely when I shut it down. That's when it's the worst. But right now I haven't passed through my graphics card, so I'm not able to really use this yet. So I have to do a little bit more of tinkling before we can play with this. But let's see if we see any other storage here. So let's go to storage. We have the 2 SSDs. Then we have Datastore 2, 216 gigabytes. I recognize that as being the King Dian M.2 SSD drive. It's not registering the NVMe drive yet. Let's see if it picks up anything in here. Here is a nice NVMe drive. So that's almost gonna be too easy, right? So let's pick that. Should we call it Samsung NVMe? No, let's just, the brand doesn't really matter, but NVMe. We can call it the number 500 gigs. There. Pick that one. Next. And then we have some options here. VMFS 5 or VMFS 6. Oh, let's pick the newest one, right? So before, after, awesome. We'll just use all of it. Didn't buy it not to use it. Yeah, next, finished. Use full disk, yes. Yeah, it's gonna delete my disk. I hope they formatted it from the company. So, cool. We have 2 SSDs in a RAID 1. We have the Datastore 2, which that's an irritating name. Let's call it something ingenious like NGFF. And then, well, if that's 500 gigabytes, then this is probably at least 230 gigabytes, even though it's not. But there. Now that's cool. Okay, I will mingle around with this. I really want to see some speed tests, don't you? I'm guessing that you want to see some speed tests too. Okay, while the server booted, I have now completed my Patreon video for this week, and it's uploading 50% done. So, well, I didn't do that right away. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you should go over and check out the videos that I produce for you every week. You will know what is going on at least a week before everybody else. So the server booted, and I had to go in and mingle a little bit with the settings for this virtual machine to get the graphics cards in and over and right. That's not what this video is about. So we have our 3 storage here. So I'm gonna go in and I'll give this server some of this new storage so that we can test it out. So we're gonna edit this virtual machine here, and we're gonna give it some hard drives. Right now it has 2 drives. One is the boot drive, disk 1, and it has a 200 gigabytes D drive, let's call it that. And that's on the 2 solid state drives that are in there. So let's add a drive on each of the other ones. New hard drive, and let's call that, let's give it 100 gigs, and we will put it on one of the other drives. We'll put that one on the NGFF drive, select, and we will do it thin provisioning. I know that I would get better performance if I used thick provisioning, but I rather want to do a test that is more like what you would actually see. I would not go out and give my own servers thick provisioning, and especially not on this kind of very expensive storage. So this is gonna be all good. So we'll save that one. No, we'll make one more. We'll add another one, new hard drive, and we will make another 100 gigabytes drive. We will put that on the NVMe drive there, select, and also thin provisioning and all these other settings. I'm sure they're all good. So let's save. So, oh, what now? It's not able to add storage while it's powered on. That's a new one. Okay, so here we have the server. It's actually a server 2016. We can kind of just have a look at that. Here, server 2016. It's running on 2 E5 2670s, 2.6 gigahertz, and it has 12 gigs of RAM. That's just a virtual machine. The server itself has right now 256 gigabytes. So that's all good. And it sees the new drives in here now. It has the 200 gigabytes on the SSDs, and then it has the NGFF drive. We need to online that, and it has the NVMe drive. We can online that as well. Initialize. We can initialize both of them. We will make GPT drives there. And we will just make a simple volume. Next, all the space, everything. Volume name, we'll just call it NGFF for that one. Make it default. Next, next, next. And we will do the same thing over here. Although we'll call it NVMe. Like that. Next, next. Finish. I'm not really able to test this by just copying files forth and back, because right now I'm not sure which ones are the fastest. I'm very much thinking that it will be the NVMe drive, but I've never tried this, so it's all gonna be testing. But I did install a couple of test programs, so let's start with this one. This is rather simple, although it wants the administrator's password. How rude. Just to run. Okay, so we can, what should we start with? Let's start with those normal SSDs and do a test on those. they are of course on the RAID controller, and the RAID controller has some very fast 1 gigabyte flash. So that's the result of the two SSDs in the front, which is on a very good RAID controller with a lot of good cache. So I'll save that. Let's get my clipper here and new. We will borrow this for later comparisons. Okay, that was those. Let's try the NVMe drive. That should be probably that one. Let's see how that goes. That's weird. It's way faster than I would be expecting. I would be expecting the minimum speed up here. I think it's caching a lot. I'm not sure this test is good at all for this, so I'm gonna save this and well, let's just try the NVMe as well. So see this and go straight to the NVMe drive down here. Let's see how that goes. Okay, that was also very quick. So let's steal that and compare the tree. I use GIMP here, so let's edit, paste there, and put it over here. So they are very, I don't really see why I should use a lot of extra money. I think this test is jigged. There is something not being tested right. Yeah, let's go to the next text program and see if that's more fair. But 1.5 gigabytes per second, that's a lot. And let's try Crystal Mark Report thing here, and we will test it on the 200 gigabyte first. I'll do all of this and I'll be back with the results. Okay, I'm done testing that and the result is in, and it's astonishing. The two drives, the SSDs are these, and then the NGFF is that one, and then the NVMe gumstick, I'm told they're called. Well, both of these are gumsticks. The speed doubles up from the SSDs in front of the server to the NGFF card, and then there's a factor 10 at least to the NVMe drive up there. I'm not sure why this is so slow, 72.3 megabytes per second, and double the speed when we go up to the NGFF, and 1781 on the NVMe drive. That's a lot. Whoa. Okay, it seems that I've made a mistake here. I was testing on the M drive and not the V drive. If we go in here and see this awesome result from the NVMe drive, I had tested the M drive and not the V drive down here. So the M drive is actually a network drive that I have mounted, so that's not gonna give the right result. The two internal drives in front of the server are the V drive, so I have to do that over. So let's pick that one. I'm sure they're gonna be a lot better than what we just saw. So I'll let that run and we'll get back to that. Okay, this makes more sense. Here we have the two SSDs in the RAID 1, and they perform really well as well. 1.761 gigabytes per second read speed. The write speed is considerably less, but still 428 megabytes per second. Compared to the NVMe, the read speed is about the same, but the write speed is a lot more on the NVMe. The other numbers here, the read speed are considerably higher than the NVMe, but the write speed are considerably lower, and the rest of the numbers are not that different. So the loser is really the NGFF card here, and that's not as fast as I would have expected it to be. I thought that I would see some faster numbers on that one. So just for fun and giggles, I thought that we should try and copy some of this around. I have my video project here. It's over on a remote server. It is on the server with the NVIDIA Grid K1 card, which my good editor Corborn is mainly using, and that's the M drive here, and that was one of the slower ones. So I found this video that you haven't seen yet because it hasn't been released yet. This is Monday's video, and it's about 15 gigabytes. 16 gigabytes. So I thought, let's copy that around a little bit. So let's copy it over to another drive. We could just put it on, let's copy it to the slowest drive, the NGFF here. So we'll borrow that. Yes. Copy. Let's see what speed we get. We get about 93, 91, 90 megabytes per second. That's probably because it's transferring over network, and the server is only on a gigabit connection, 1 gigabit connection. So that is definitely also a feature. It just dropped to 0. Come on. Get into the fight. Yeah, and it came up again. So probably the network connection is a big restraint, but what is going on here? But also the drives. Over at that server, it's 2 spinning disks that is in a RAID 1, I think. Okay, that is absolutely ridiculously. It goes up and then it goes down, and well, doesn't really do much. Let's see if we can cancel this because it's not going well. Go away. Stop the transfer. Don't think it's listening to me. Oh, there we are. Okay. I managed to get a folder over here, and this one is actually quite a bit bigger, and it has become dark outside, so I think we need some lights here. There. Hi. 20 some gigabytes. So let's try and copy this to one of the other drives here. Right now it's on the V drive, which is the internal. So let's try and copy it to the NGFF drive and see how the transfer speed is there. 20 gigabytes. Move. See? That's not bad at all. Oh, and then it just dropped 100 megabytes per second. Oh, and then it became bad. It seems that it runs very well for a bit, and then it drops. Okay, I don't think that NGFF card is very good, the King DN thing. Well, here I have the folder, and let's just check. It's still 20 gigabytes. Okay, so let's open another window here. Let's copy that to our video folder here. It already has one. We'll just delete that. Delete. Yes. And that's fairly fast gone. So we'll just copy this over here. Copy. And it moves over with about a gigabyte, and then it drops down to a lot less. But it comes up a little bit again. It's kind of weird, but well, it is moving here. Here we are moving with about, I have no idea what's going on here, I must say, 10 megabytes per second. between NVMe and the RAID 1 with the 2 solid state drives. It's just crazy. What the? 750 kilobytes. Okay, I'll pause this. Yeah, this is not great transfer speeds at all. It started out really well and then it just died. Like, this is slow USB. But let's just see if we go and pick the NGFF drive here and copy from the NVMe drive to that one. Copy there, copy. It's calculating. And it's kind of weird because it's also starts out, it starts out in a different way here, but it dies once in a while. And while the other one just keeps going, this one goes up and down. It's as if every time it has to capture a new file, it just it really slows down. If we quit it, it is also a very long time about that. So I think this NGFF might not have been the best choice. Okay, we are in here in the machine, on virtual machine in ESXi, and I think I want to delete that drive from it again. So I'm gonna go up here, edit. Let's see if we can do that while it's running. Take the drive away. Was number 3 here. NGFF, that one. So we will just remove drive number 3. Delete files from file store. Yes. We don't need that. And save. Wonder if it did that while we were running. It seemed like it did it. So let's see. That should be gone. So, oh. Let's see what it says here. PC. It still thinks that it has it. It still pops up. Weird. Let's reboot the machine and see if that helps my problems. Oh, it needs to be turned off to do that. Thank you very much. Server is booted again, so let's see. NVMe drive over here and the normal 2 SSDs over here. So let's see if that did anything. Copy. Starts out good. Oh, drops fast this time. That's okay. It's still very, very unstable, and now it's under 100 megabytes per second. Yeah. Any good suggestions? What the is going on here? Okay, so it does work. It's in there, and the NGFF card is also in there. It's acting up really weird. It's working, but it's weird. The measurements, I have no idea if they are really accurate, but it's working, all of it. I'll have to do a bit more benchmarking before I can really say how fast it really is. But the NVMe drive, it seems to be very fast. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me over at Patreon. There is still room for more. And thank you very much for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me again. And have a really nice day. Bye bye. I should have fixed the background, shouldn't I? Yeah. Bye bye.